Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to In the Studio. It's been far too long since we last chatted, but we're here, back again. Of course, In the Studio is brought to you by 100tv.com. They are a cloud service provider. They do dedicated servers, content delivery systems, and you should check them out, 100tv.com. They make this show possible.
How have you not memorized that by now?
We had a little break,
We're like
you know.
11 episodes
Come
in.
on, I like to spice it up a little bit.
Hey,
Throw a
we know
couple-
episode. We're 10 episodes
Yeah,
in.
number-
This side of the desk is clued in all day.
Number 10, baby. So we've got kind of
Clued in.
a special setup for In the Studio this week. We're doing our TI4 episode today, talking about the qualifiers, rehashing the NA Hub, getting a couple call-ins from our hosts that were here with us in the studio. And then this Sunday, 2 days from now, we'll be doing more of a regular In the Studio, talking about news and various other interesting topics of discussion. So welcome back, boys. How we all feeling? Have we all recovered from the TI4 qualifiers?
Almost. I'm almost there.
A little bit?
I think one more good night's rest, and then I'll be good to go, and then I'll get ruined again by the summit.
I was saying, no
it's
sleep for
perfect.
you, Brian. The summit's right around the corner.
Exactly.
He slept it until noon, and that's going to be like halfway through the day for the summit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I didn't even mean to. I had stuff to do this morning.
Noon isn't even that late for esports, man. That's like
I
an
know.
early
Did
rise.
Did you see Mushi's schedule that they posted on Facebook?
I did
Well,
see
yeah.
that.
Not everyone's mushy.
Well, yeah, but no, it was funny because
Intense.
he had like a
Actually,
ridiculously.
no, we can bring that up.
Yeah, he had like a ridiculously in-depth schedule, but he didn't wake up until like 11 o'clock each day.
Yeah.
11 a.m.?
11 a.m. Yeah.
That's like early for Dota players.
Yeah,
That's okay
it's
if you
like
go to bed
standard.
at 6 in the
It's just
morning.
funny because you think of someone normally, it's like your stereotypical hard worker, someone who wakes up early, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Mushi had a ridiculous schedule, but it starts at 11 o'clock.
Yeah. I like the sick, deal with it. And less very, very sick. That was my
Headache,
favorite part.
Panadol, feeling tired,
We're
Red
gonna
Bull.
bring it in.
Red Bull Pan.
This is like a recipe for burnout, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Red Bull, loaded up on Red Bull, Panadol.
Well,
and
I mean, to be
no
fair, he
holidays.
does have some physical activity, some
No.
meals in there, showering, but
That's good. The
if
basics.
you're sick, deal with it. For events, that's one thing, but
Yeah. Well, when you're at home, you know.
Panadol.
But unless very, very sick. We don't
what
know
is
what constitutes
Panadol's just
very-
like Advil? Or?
Panadol is
Ibuprofen?
Advil.
it's Tylenol.
Okay.
It's acetaminophen.
Don't
It
don't
is
use
the-
Tylenol, guys.
I
Advil's
shouldn't
much better
question
for
it,
you.
Well, it depends. Sometimes acetaminophen is good, but don't do it if don't regularly
Don't
use.
drink and acetaminophen.
Don't drink and use acetaminophen. It will destroy your liver.
It's no
Welcome
good.
to In the Studio, where we give you all
We
your
talk
latest
about
health and pharmaceutical
acetaminophen.
advice. Who needs-
I was the bio major in the
I-
group. Right?
That's true. To be fair, he is a biology major. Cut,
Yeah, I'm
cut
a
the guy some
scientist.
slack.
I'm a bachelor of science.
And now a stats man. So, well done.
Exactly.
Putting that degree to
Is
good
that
use.
an upwards trajectory or just kind of
Well, you can't really do much with a bachelor degree in biology, so
Okay.
Now you've
So
gone-
Usually
you
I have to
come
go to-
from nothing into
Into
started,
something.
Started
BTS,
from the
whatever
bottom.
this is.
Started from the bottom.
Fair enough.
So today's episode will be two parts. The first part, we're going to talk about some storylines. There were actually some fun storylines across the qualifiers, and we're going to get some just overall impressions, some fun anecdotes. The second part will be reserved for more analytical-based commentary. We have some stats, and luckily the qualifiers were very diverse across the highly picked heroes, the different win rates. So there's a lot of comparing and contrasting we can do. We're going to bring old Commissioner Wu in to talk some analysis and see how balance is looking moving into the actual main event. So first up, I guess we should just mention the first place teams for the handful of folks out there that missed the qualifiers completely. North American Rejects, Arrow, LGD, and Mouse were the top placing teams across the regions. And in second place, we had Liquid, MVP Phoenix, CIS, and Virtus Pro. So I guess macroscopically overall, was everyone pretty satisfied with the event as a whole? Were there any undeclared headaches?
The overall TI qualifiers, big picture for me was last year there were teams that didn't have a shot that I felt were deserving. This year, a lot less deserving teams that didn't have a shot. So from that perspective, these are qualifiers, like broadcasting and the viewer experience aside. Like to me, the most important thing is making sure that all the deserving teams get a shot. And I would say there's very few that have been left out. David, I'm sure you'll mention team immunity here, but
I'm
Honestly-
over it. I've
Honestly,
accepted it.
relative-
Australian Dota is...
There are some
Something
teams that might
recognized.
not have even been deserving. that
That's,
got in.
that's the
year-
argument you make, I think, that there were some teams that just got thrown in to fill in the gaps, but...
I'd rather, end of the day, like
better
I'd
that
rather you have too many teams that aren't deserving. Guess what? They just get eliminated. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
that's kind of how it goes. So I think in that sense, it was a big improvement.
Yep.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Was anyone surprised by like the finals? By who made it in? Basically, I think.
Oh yeah, some of them.
Who
Some of
is
them.
your biggest surprise?
I would say VP, very big surprise because I cast that team for a month coming into the event, and they looked awful. No comment.
Bad.
The Illidan flames were real, and it wasn't just Illidan. It was like the whole team
Whole
was
team.
like sinking to his level. But They have a lot of talented players, and they finally got it together. So they were, I'd say, the biggest surprise for me. I think Scythe, the other big surprise in the opposite direction. I thought they'd at least be like in the middle of the pack.
What about
Naga
MVP
Siren nerf
Phoenix,
was-
man?
The Naga Siren nerf was real.
They were a
man.
pretty big surprise.
MVP Phoenix
MVP
getting second in the
No
group
surprise
stage.
to me. I called it. I had him in my top 4.
I was.
I even
surprised.
have a Twitch account now.
I'm with you.
I was.
That is,
we were surprised. This side of the table was
I wasn't surprised.
I think every qualifier has its own share of surprises. It's just like on the grand scope of things, there's not going to be any teams that are like, wow, I can't believe this team's in TI.
It's not like no Earth Spirit qualifier, like a team that
Yeah.
barely even got invited in the first
Yeah.
place.
Yeah. I think I was actually more surprised by CIS than Virtus Pro because I think both teams weren't actually that convincing or that good. But VP, you see their roster and you're like, these guys are all bloody good at Dota. You've
Yes.
got all. It was a Russian all-star team. Arsat, G, like these are incredibly talented players. So I look at that and sure they played horrible last month or so, but they've got it in them. For CIS, they're all young, inexperienced. Apart from Black, who's been at TI before, but apart from that, he had 4 unknown players with him, and they hadn't really proven all much apart from a win here or there.
I think on like a bigger scale, it's like I was a little surprised by how like interesting and competitive, or how I thought China was going to be a lot more exciting than it was,
Yeah.
and it turned into
I think
a
it
bit
was-
of a disappointment.
I think it was just
Yeah.
people got excited because like, oh, Chinese Dota is going to be great because of that. But then people were like, oh wait, it's just 10 Chinese teams to compete. Who's going to be the 5th and 6th Chinese team in TI? And that is like just not a good storyline compared to SEA where it's like 6 different countries represented.
Yeah.
Europe, you got 5 or 6. America, you had 3 or 4.
That's true.
It just
but
makes it more interesting.
I think it's also to deal with how the teams reacted to being like back against the wall instead of like in, the CIS or America when you're back against the wall and you're afraid you're about to lose the game, you might pull out a pick out of your pocket, like something crazy. But in China, if you're about to lose, you pick anti-mage. And you try to make the game go as long as possible.
it happened today.
Yeah.
Vici Gaming busted out the anti-mage.
So I think it was just that for
When
a
you
lot of
need a
people. Yeah, exactly. I feel like for a lot of people, it's like, oh, well, if you need a win, we'll pick something crazy that they're not expecting. And for a lot of teams in China, it's like, oh, if we're expecting a win, we just pick anti-mage and turtle the longest. And it's just not good from a viewer experience.
there wasn't
I
that
guess.
much anti-mage in the Chinese
Towards the
qualifiers.
end, what I'm saying is like, is those big like the
Yeah.
decider games was all of a sudden when everyone was like, shit, it's on the line, better pick anti-mage.
Well, or if you're
which was
CIS,
like-
you pick Axe.
Personally,
Yeah.
I love anti-mage and I love anti-mage games, but
Yeah, me too. Anti-mage power.
it's great. It's
Wow.
Dota and its
Some
purest
serious
fo-
bonding
it's
on that
Do-
side of the
it's
table.
Dota and
Scott's
it-
is on board with the anti-mage.
It's Dota in its purest form, but for
Well,
most
damn.
people, they're not as
Yeah.
into the 50-minute farm fest.
This is where I'm glad Ben's not here, because we can talk about what an awesome hero anti-mage is.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
hero.
There were some
He'd just be an
Mana
unreasonable
Void best
little
spell in the
whiny.
game.
There were some pretty epic Chinese games. One of them was it the second longest game in history. We had one game that was,
It was up there.
absurdly
Yeah,
long.
it was like
I don't know if that was an epic game,
11
though.
minutes.
Epic, maybe not in
Epic
content,
is a
but
strong word.
epic in terms of length.
Poor Greg had to cast all those.
What is hip
Got thrown under
was
the bus.
so upset. Like we're most of us are at least like Andrew, you're at least acclimated to Chinese Dota, even if you're not
Yeah.
that crazy about it.
I'm getting there. I'm coming
everyone,
around.
everyone else is like David and I are like, great, 100-minute game. This is when it gets interesting. But,
Yeah.
Greg
is-
was just like,
Greg's notoriously negative in general, and he
Yeah.
also doesn't like that
Yeah.
style of Dota. So the two of them together was just it was pretty hysterical
Well,
to see him after
now
that
he holds
game.
the record for the longest casted game of Dota once again.
Yeah. There you go.
Impressive
indeed
stuff.
he does.
Well, who was everyone's favorite qualifier of the 4? And why?
America.
I think America,
America.
but I also think partially because it was the first, so there was an extra
Right,
bit of
novelty
excitement,
factor, yeah.
and it also had one of the more interesting storylines, in my opinion,
Yes.
and that takes us right along here. EHUG versus Union, one of the first round group stage matches. Total disaster. EHUG, they got a death loss in their first game. There's a 30-minute window, and I think it was Cakes. He had an internship or something and got caught in traffic. He made it back 1 minute.
Now it's all coming back.
1 minute. Yeah, I know, exactly. It was so long
Figure
ago,
it out.
but 1 minute past that 30-minute mark, and they were DQ'd against Team Union. Union was very low-seeded, so stands to reason EHUG could have probably taken that game or at least put up a fight. And ironically enough, it came down to tiebreakers, and it was Union, SNA, and EHUG So it came down to actually that one game, and EHUG was the one team of the two that didn't move on. So it was sort of a bittersweet ending.
To be fair, they had their shot. Like, it's not like they missed the tiebreakers.
Yes,
but
that's true. But given that Union
That does
made it
suck.
into the tiebreakers, it's like, well, if we had just won that first game or even just played it, maybe things would
Well,
be
they
a little
had a
different.
chance at redemption,
In the
right?
tiebreakers,
Yeah.
they were
They-
battling it out.
It's true.
They went up against Union in the tiebreakers. Winner was moving on. Loser went home, and EHUG had the chance to beat Union and say, okay, well, that one first one was a fluke. We should have beat you anyway, but we had some miss, but they lost. So
Yeah.
I guess in the end, Iwo was an important piece for revenge because he played really well
what
in the
a
American
player.
qualifiers.
Oh my God, Evo
Frankly,
played so well.
he threw Union on his back. Like, the rest of the team wasn't bad by any means, but
Yeah, Union
he
was
really stood out for me.
Union was that dark horse that no one really saw coming. When we talked about our predictions, I don't think anyone even mentioned Union as a
No.
contender for the top four. So that was
Zero.
another interesting storyline. And also, America ended interestingly with the liquid throws that made Reddit headlines for a good
That was
4 or
fun.
5 hours. That was extra funny because LD went to sleep right before it happened and woke up and was just like, "What happened? Everything was okay before I went to sleep," and it was like chaos had
I
erupted.
had a
Then shit
3-hour
hit the
nap.
fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
Thanks,
like,
gods.
what went down?
Oh man. So, but
We've talked about that on previous in the studio.
Yeah.
So.
yeah.
That's
We're
true.
trying to
We
go
can move
full
on.
circle, but
We can move on.
it was, and I feel like just even beyond that, the playoffs to North America just had cool storylines. Like
Yeah, they
seeing
really did.
Snarl getting through. I mean, unfortunately, they didn't do as well as they would have hoped for. But
Right.
the NAR Liquid Final, and then Game 5 getting postponed. Like everything that happened, drama and everything, even stuff that you wish didn't happen at all, just added to the tension that was there.
Yeah.
That
And
was
it
actually the worst, though. Postponing Game 5.
Yeah.
That's not Dota at that,
was a
point.
disaster,
When
yeah.
teams have like 24 hours to practice the game, both Liquid and NAR were like scrimming
Screaming
against
other
other
teams.
top teams,
Yeah.
running the same draft,
Yeah.
and it's not Dota
Yeah,
anymore.
It's not Dota, and it's also not fun for the players. I talked to Fogged about it, and he was like, it's when you have that information, you just obsess about it. You wake up in the middle of the night like, was Drow Ranger a smart pick? You just get
Yeah.
all paranoid and you start to hyper-analyze. So it's just rough across the board. But I will say, EHUG, guys, I know you guys have been running the Elgato Courier. This is the EHUG official garb. Just shout out to you guys. They use the Elgato Courier, so gotta go full circle here. Not too
So
many
you're a
teams.
total sellout.
Not too many teams use the Elgato Courier, LD.
I
Come
wear
on now.
shirts that I think look cool.
Hey, this
but-
shirt does look cool. It looks like the little Zoloft blump.
Okay.
The
As
little
long as you feel that way.
Yeah.
I don't know if the
The way
Hey.
you started that was, they bought our courier, so
Well,
I bought
that-
your shirt.
That was part of it, but I just happened to be perusing Amazon and it popped up. I thought that was also kind of nice.
It's actually on Amazon.
Yeah,
That's-
you can't buy that many Dota-related garb, shirts, pants, whatever on. I don't know about Dota-related pants, but you can't buy Dota clothes on Amazon. So I went there. So other storylines, we mentioned MVP Phoenix a little bit. They went 7-2 in the group stage. They ended up getting second, so they started in the upper bracket, and they made it all the way through. They'll be at TI, but of course they got second place, so they'll be in the play-in tournament. But still, a nice storyline. Korea will have some representation.
Hope Gods is warming up his vocal cords. We had a so for those
Let's
of-
let him get through the first bet before
Look,
we...
just wait till the wildcard matches are over, Brian. We
just
still
saying.
got. They
I'm
still
just
have 3
saying.
teams to beat.
Do you actually have the logs of...
Yeah, it's on Twitter.
Okay.
It
Have
was-
you posted the logs?
I haven't posted it. I need to find
I need to
it.
go delete some tweets. Look, this is the peak right now. Korean is only going downhill from here. That's
Oh,
why I'm
really?
supporting it. I'm supporting them in
Really?
their time right
Okay.
now of their peak. But
All right.
You're trying to jinx them. That's all there
the
is to
caster
it.
curse.
You know, like
Yeah.
March is watching, and you're trying to like make him feel bad, make him throw.
I will say
believe in MVP.
we got to, on a serious note, we got to meet with MVP at StarLadder,
Yeah.
and they take it very seriously.
Yes.
They were constantly asking all the Alliance players just for tips, advice. Same for Navi. Like, I think StarLadder Season 9 was a big opportunity for them, even though they completely bombed out. End of the day, wasn't even the games they played, although I think that did help, but it was more, they had to pick the brains of some of the greatest Dota minds of this generation, and hey, it definitely made a difference.
And even so, they went back to the qualifiers and didn't try and just copy those teams. They played their own distinct style and just.
but they
crushed with
they
it,
took
so.
aspects of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
good Dota, basically,
Right.
Yeah,
not
like
of
how to
their
be
strategy.
efficient, how to like stack and just jungle, be as efficient as possible, rotate all these supports, these kind of things which you can do and incorporate them into your own
Yeah,
drafts.
and they
play
still
style.
played their game,
Yeah.
which was impressive. I'm really excited to see how they do in the play-in match. I think they have a chance. Honestly.
I
they
think
have a-
everyone has a chance there. I don't know if there's a clear favorite out of those 4
Yeah,
teams.
I would agree.
If DT Club was there, I'd be saying DT Club, but they kind of choked. in the
Liquid,
end.
MVP Phoenix, CIS, Virtus Pro. That is a tricky bracket.
I think VP, if anything, should be looked at as favorites based on their performance.
Yeah.
Playing really well with them. They can't,
If they play the way they did during the European qualifiers,
I know that now that they know they're going to TI, they'll actually train hard and focus down, even if they had some internal issues or whatever it was leading up to it. So
To be fair, though, them and Liquid are the two teams that have the biggest internal issues. So
Yeah.
I think they could both implode. But in terms of potential, I'd say VP is the biggest potential of those four.
I feel like all might be getting better for Virtus Pro. Like I feel like they must have had like a come to Jesus meeting after their little issues before, where the
You would want to make this about God, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
it's some sort of a phrase for like
He knows
getting,
all about come
that's
to
just
Jesus
that,
meetings.
that is a phrase where you come together and you get right with each other and you can get on the right path. That's just a
Well,
phrase.
according to
Anyway.
chat, VP will disband before TI4. So.
All right, well, that
But
would
no,
be a
but
shame.
I think that they're a team that were having their issues before, and they weren't expecting to do well in the qualifiers because they had been having all these issues. They'd been underperforming completely. They were at Dream League. They had like the same record as MYM, who did horribly in the qualifiers, and now all of a sudden they were a game away from being directly qualified to the whole thing. So I think that they're actually coming in with a bit of momentum. I think they're a team that realized, hey, we played.
You can't talk
well
about
in the
momentum.
2 months.
There's a month and a half or 2 months before they
I'm with
I
us.
still
Yeah.
feel like, well, momentum is still based upon like your previous performances.
Come
I
on!
feel like no, I just feel like they are not going to have the same internal issues that they had 2 months ago. I feel like a lot of those internal issues have been helped by this recent increase in performance. Is all I'm trying to say.
I'm inclined to disagree with that
All
one,
right,
Brian.
you
I
can't.
don't know.
You can.
Brian,
you
you've been
disagree.
overruled and vetoed.
I mean, I
And
labeled
I've
Virtus
actually-
Pro.
This isn't like a court. I can have my own opinion.
Can we get a hammer in here?
That's true. I mean, I labeled Virtus Pro as the darkest horse. In the group stage, they barely squeaked in. They were in the 4th slot, 5-4 in the group stage. Rock's Kiss was 9-0 in the groups. They looked like the clear favorites, and they did not fare
Mouse
so
Sports
well.
were also undefeated.
To
in the
be
group.
fair,
Undefeated.
I don't think the
Okay.
Rocks
Mouse
versus
and Rocks are
game
both
counts.
Rocks and Mouse. Okay,
undefeated.
that's fine. So they were both kind of the clear favorites, and even just looking at the group stages. But Virtus Pro took a good run. They went 2-0 over Coast in the first lower bracket game, and then they went 2-1 over Rocks, who were then
they still
eliminated.
snuck by, like the
Yeah.
level 1 Roshan and
Well, then even the finals,
stuff.
it was 3-2. That was the finals. Everyone thought, all right, blowout, Virtus Pro versus Mouse.
Right.
Psh, all right, early day. We'll be doing it in the studio, no problem. 5 games of Dota later, it was a nail biter to the bitter end. And it was also interesting that Virtus Pro started 2-0 in the series, and then it was a reverse all kill with Mouse coming back 3-0 to actually win it. So it was a pretty good way to finish off the qualifiers.
no one expected that. We were already like popping up in the champagne, like qualifiers are done. We're
Yeah.
in game 1, like let's go, let's
Virtus Pro 2-0.
start celebrating. And it's like, oh wait, what? VP of winning? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my thought, though, is that just a fluke? Was that the, guys, this is it. If we don't make it here, we're disbanding, and that was the pressure to get them through? Or have they actually kind of turned a leaf, found a stride that will actually resemble something like momentum?
Well, they feel better than if they didn't qualify.
That's for
That's
sure.
a bold statement from
Well,
yours truly.
And they played better
sure.
in the qualifiers than they had previously, which means that they did something before the qualifiers even started to get their momentum and chemistry back to where it was before the.
You can't magically gain oodles of individual skill in 2 months.
Well, they have oodles of individual skill.
That's what
already.
I'm saying.
Right.
That's Liquid also has a lot of individual skill, but they are the team that just look
Can
like.
you guys give us a conversion for oodles to some other metric that we can
All right,
comprehend?
so this is like half an oodle.
half an oodle. Okay.
That's like that would be
That's
a
a
full
full
oodle if
oodle.
it was full.
Yeah.
So the oodles that Virtus Pro has, where do you think they rank power ranking wise compared to the others in
They're
in
a
the
full
scene
half
right
an oodle
now?
above most other teams in the qualifiers.
Let's say Virtus Pro wins the play-in tournament. Do they have any kind of a shot in the actual main event?
I think they have the best shot to actually make a run at the event if they put it together and qualify. I would say they're also very volatile and risky. Like I look at MVP Phoenix and even CIS as pretty stable teams, like teams that might not be good enough to qualify, but if they do, won't embarrass themselves. They may get outclassed, they may get outplayed, but they're not going to choke. They will play their best, and maybe it's just not good enough.
I don't see either of those teams getting top 8, whereas VP, if they play the tournament of their life, they've got players like we talked about G and Asa. I could see them getting 7th, 8th place theoretically, but that's still a big stretch.
I wouldn't put. It's like maybe it's a good Dota 2 Lounge prop bet or something, but it's not. It's not something like you would actually bet the house on.
I don't know. It's
not
another
a
thing
lot.
for me. Like I'm talking on the Virtus Pro hype train, but I feel like if they actually do make it to the tournament, where they kind of get by against some of these other teams is that they do have oodles of individual skill, and while their chemistry and teamwork might be pretty terrible, they get by on those oodles and oodles. But when they get to the actual main event, they don't.
Why are we using oodles as an
It's
actual
becoming a thing. But when they get to the event,
becoming a-
I don't even know if they're in the top 6 of teams in terms of individual skill.
VP?
VP. I don't think
you
so.
think they are?
I don't think they are.
No, I don't.
Top 6 at the event? No, I don't think so.
Exactly. So
Definitely
what is their when they get to the main event? What is their advantage anymore? Like,
Okay, but I would safely
Pride.
say, like, you look at, like,
Individual skill doesn't matter that much in Dota, I would argue.
and that's the
So, but
only,
that's my
and
first
that's what I'm saying-
argument.
and that's
Like,
what
you're- I don't think you can compare teams on individual
and that's what
skill.
Virtus Pro has right now. Like,
Eh.
and so if they get to
I
the
don't
main
think
event, I
they
feel like
didn't
they're
take-
outclassed.
they
in
level 1
everything
Radiant
else.
Roshan, and it works.
That's
Too.
true.
They also have
That's on
balls,
individual
and they do
skill.
have some
That's a good
creative
point.
strategy.
They didn't take
That's a
2
good
games
point.
off Mouse through individual skill.
That's true. That's
They
true.
did through some big,
We'll see.
or sorry, carrying, but no, it was.
I don't think any of these teams are. If they make it into the play-in match, will finish top 8.
Well, Roland's getting bored, guys.
Okay, we
Just
got a
seems
hand
like-
signal. So, well,
Finish.
there is
Come
one other
on.
storyline that we can mention quickly, Roland. Why are you telling me we need to break? I don't understand what the problem is. Okay.
No good sections. We went to.
Oh, we
follow
had sections?
Qualifier to qualifier to
Oh.
qualifier.
Oh, you're not following the
You're not
script?
following the script, man. What is
That's
this?
not. That's part 2, Roland. That's the. Well,
Whatever.
we screwed the
Let's
pooch,
go
boys.
with it. Let's just go with
We're
it.
going
It's
with
fine.
it. So, all right,
Roll
China,
with it.
perfect. That was what I
Don't
wanted to bring
panic,
up next.
Roland.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Right.
We're
No
just changing
picnic.
things up.
Just
Put that
change the
picnic
order.
blanket away, man.
There you
So,
go.
LGD, they had one hell of a showing in the Chinese
Yeah, they
qualifier. LGD CDEC, a team that most of us, or all of the hosts, were pretty cynical about, ended up almost making it to the top 4.
To be fair, I don't think anyone's cynical. Everyone was just like.
They
no
were
one's
just-
seen
they weren't
this
on the
team play.
radar.
No one's seen
Yeah.
them play. They hadn't played a single tournament. They just like people knew who maybe was, but beyond that, it was like, who is this team?
The funny thing is, no one knew who maybe was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you didn't know he had just moved over from Dota 1 to be part of LGD, and then all of a sudden he's going to be part of this.
Well, no
team.
one in the West.
Well, yeah.
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 Chinese players did know. He's in a lot of the top in-house leagues.
He's a pop
so-
star. He's like a DDZ type player where he's just like top of the leaderboard.
Right.
It's doing really well there, and
Mhm.
like, apart from like the local scene, people didn't really know him that well.
Right.
Beyond that.
So LGD CDEC ended 5-4, and they lost in the tiebreak scenario against DT and HGT. Where,
DT and Tongfu.
GT and Talk
Oh,
Food.
DT and Tongfu. I'm sorry, you're right. I have a mistype in my notes there. But LGD, the regular LGD, they took
Yeah,
the whole
they
qualifier
just
by
crushed,
by
you know,
force. Yeah,
destroyed
they
it.
destroyed the group stage 8-1, and then once we got to the brackets, they just they dominated.
They know how to do that. And
Yep.
They did it last year, and they did it this year. So
I guess
Probably do it next year as well.
Val's gonna hate on them again, make them go through the qualifiers 3 times in a row.
I was just wondering, like, who do you guys think is actually going the farthest at TI out of the qualified teams? So it's
Ooh.
Mouse, NAR,
Arrow.
whatever. There's
Arrow,
LGD and Arrow.
I
LGD.
think LGD is the safe bet, but
Yeah.
then you have Mouse, who's like the risky bet.
I have a little bit of faith in the North American Reject boys. I don't
Nobody's
know.
giving Arrow any love.
No.
What if DDC
Inexperienced.
just goes off at TI?
That's
like,
where I
pulls a Mushi?
I stand
We'll
by my like previous statement where it's like individual skill only matters so much. When you're versing the top teams who play coordinated Dota, like Chinese teams just always crush SCA teams. It's just
5-man mid against
It's the
Arrow.
way it is. SCA
It's
teams,
just the way it is.
SCA Dota has flair. It's got a lot of character to it. It's a lot of fun to watch, but it's high risk, and Chinese teams just punish
Yeah.
all those mistakes.
They're so inconsistent. Arrow is even in the own qualifiers when they like kind of
They clowned around a lot.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They had a lot of inconsistent parts. Like I feel like their team isn't solid top to bottom. So I feel like they have a lot of exploitable parts about their team.
Yeah.
Whereas LGD has been actually performing really well even amongst the Chinese teams. So they did really
Yeah.
well in the Mars TV tournament we ended up on. They
Yep.
they went through. They got through in the first group phase and ended up like top 4, I think.
Got second.
Got second place. That's
Yep.
right. So
Second place in that. Second place in the ESL one.
yeah.
China plus SCA
So
qualifier.
they're playing
Well,
really
which
well.
doesn't get you anything.
No,
but
not,
no.
well.
they still did well.
They still did really well. They took a game with VG Gaming there. In Mars, they beat.
They beat a lot of
Uh,
teams.
They
I think they beat DK.
They didn't.
They went 4-1 in the group stage.
They
They
beat
beat
DK and
everyone
VG
except for
Gaming.
Newbie.
And they beat VG Gaming, I believe,
Yeah.
there as well.
Yeah.
So.
So over the past 2 weeks, they've been playing better than DK or Vici. So I think LGD has a shot to do really well
Okay.
because they finally they did so many crazy roster changes. They did like 3 in the matter of like a month and a half. But it feels like they've really hit their stride with Lin. I think and the way that he plays, I think fits really well into the meta.
He's good. He's solid.
He's good. Yeah, it's exactly what they needed.
Shine, but
yeah.
again, it's like they're all about the team play, the draft, the strategy, and I think the one player who stepped up the most is Yao. He's finally filled into Zhao Wei's shoes. He's captaining well, and his individual play's been really fantastic as well.
There was definitely a slump in the middle there where the drafty wasn't the best, and I think his individual play really suffered.
They were deservedly not invited to TI. That was known.
Agreed.
Very few people think
They just keep on qualifying, and so does Mouse. Actually, Mouse has qualified 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
Wow.
through best of 5 like qualify because like
man.
even in TI2 they had to play a best of 5 against World Elite to see who would take over MUFC's spot.
To be fair, that technically for TI2 they were just there as a backup. They never had a shot.
Shout out to Marlboro.
Shout out to Sharky.
I feel like this TI is the TI perhaps of North America. I think EG are legit contenders to place top 4, top 3.
There's fewer American teams than ever before at TI.
No,
Yeah,
there's 3.
but skill-wise,
I think they're more solid.
there,
yeah.
there were 2 last year, right?
There's like one. Okay,
Last year was-
NAR and EG, I guess.
Yeah.
He's
Cloud9
counting,
is
he's
like-
counting
Liquid makes
Oh,
it to
yeah,
Seattle, so
that-
there's 3. That's more than ever before.
But that's
Come
with
on.
like
No,
that's where
the
an
same,
extra team.
isn't it?
No.
There's 3 last year, right?
How many was
Liquid,
there last year?
Dignitas, and EG.
That's just
Oh no, EG
EG
wasn't there last. That was
Well,
TI2,
Liquid's
yeah.
playing the wildcard match. Like when I
That's
say
fair.
look at TI, I
That's
look
fair.
at the 16 teams.
That's
Liquid
fair.
win, then I'll say yes. 3
Because
American
EG
teams.
probably would have like been one of the qualifier teams, or would have gotten a
Yeah,
shot if
that's-
there was an American qualifier last year.
Yeah. But I think this is the first time where we have North American teams that I think can make a legit run for top 8. Even the North American rejects, I think
They
top
have
8.
before though. Like
Yeah, I think it's within their grasp. It's not that it's never been done, but I mean, seeing EG
I think
like top 3, top 2, that would be
this
good
year's
for
EG
North
is the
America.
best American team that's ever been in a TI.
That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to articulate. Thank you,
Yeah.
gods.
I think NAR is still like a not a likely top 8 contender, but they could theoretically.
Yeah, that's yeah. In context of these 4 teams, I just have some faith in North America. I don't know. I talked to Fogged enough that I have some faith in the Fog strats. Witch Doctor, baby.
That was the strat, huh?
Witch Doctor.
Witch
and
Doctor,
Jakiro.
baby.
Dr. Enjikiro.
Baby, yeah. Witch Doctor Jakiro. Heard it here first.
Did he like try to put his arm around you during the strat? Or?
No,
Okay.
no. Just casual back and forth.
As long
about
as Lady
Dota.
Fog
It's
doesn't.
all about the Meepo.
All about the Meepo.
I'm really believing in Meepo this year, guys. I think Meepo is going to be a very serious threat at TI.
Yeah.
What everyone should be
alright.
doing is picking Spirit
That was
Breaker.
you after he put his arm around.
Oh,
Everyone should be
alright.
picking Spirit Breaker.
You're easily bamboozled, Andrew. That's
Hey,
Road Spirit Breaker.
no faith in Witch Doctor or
Cloud9,
Jakiro?
there's
No,
Spirit
I think
Breaker.
they're
Shout out
both
to
legit
Cloud9.
heroes. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just about you.
Just about me. All right. Well, we're towards the tail end of this first segment. Do we want to call Mott? Do we want to give Mott a chance to talk?
Get
Yeah.
some Mott
Do we,
notes.
do we
in
have
here?
some Mott? Do we have
Yeah.
to, I think we've got time for a Mott note or
Some
two.
Mott
I think
notes.
we can do
I think
it.
he's going to cast soon, so we better
20
get him on
minutes.
soon.
He's got to cast in 20
Oh,
minutes.
quick. All right. Well, we don't have too much time, so it'll work out well. And of course, in the second half today, guys, we'll have more of a statistical analysis of
Yeah.
what was going on
We'll
with the
get,
TI
we'll get Ben
qualifiers.
here when we're talking stats. I like
Oh
that.
yeah, it's gonna
Well,
be good stuff.
We've got Mott notes
Very-
on the line, but do we have Mott nips as well, or?
No, just the notes today. Sorry, guys. I
Oh.
apologize.
Bummer. How's it going, Mott? What's the good word?
The word is I slept for 12 hours and I'm feeling fresh. My goodness, it feels good to actually be back in my own bed and not lounge it around. So it's good to be here, guys. How are you?
We're doing well.
Yeah.
Enjoying getting our routines back in order as well, though. We're about to throw our routines out the window to prepare for the summit. So a little bit of R&R.
A little bit.
It's good stuff. So, Mott, I'm sure you listened at least partially. What was your take about the event overall? What was your big, your breakout story or your dark horse? Give us your highlights of the TI4 qualifiers.
Just meeting everybody, I think, was probably the coolest thing for me. Like meeting all you guys and staying at the house. I mean, like you go into the house and like as this kind of like guy who's watched everybody from the start, you kind of just like, wow, these people are actually like here. Where I'm casting with them. Like I got to meet like all of the prominent pro players as well, which was kind of nice. And then some kind of just like settling into that role of like, all right, we're going to sleep on the couch. We're going to wake up. We're going to go get food. We're going to come back. We're going to play some Smash Brothers. We're going to start doing some casting and stuff like that. And I mean,
Drinking
just
some-
the people in
Have
general.
some shots
so.
of Monster. You know, along
Yes,
the way.
lots of
Shotgun a
monster
few
shots.
monsters.
Lots of Yahtzee playing as well.
Yep.
Yes, Yahtzee, an NA Hub classic.
Have
That's
you
good.
gotten all of the like cholesterol out of your body from all the American food? Yeah,
Dude,
have
no.
He's
Yeah,
from America.
He's a
No, I know, but no, there's the American food. No, we had nothing but like
The fast
pizza and
food.
burgers for 2 weeks, dude.
yeah.
Dude,
It's like
I-
excessively bad.
I just went to Chipotle. I'm not even kidding. I'm just like, wow, I really haven't changed my. I have not changed my food at all. It's
Okay,
not.
but
It's not
Chipotle
good.
is a
Chipotle's
safe
okay.
choice.
Chipotle's okay.
That's like
Sinner
never.
gave
There's
it
no
like-
such thing as too much Chipotle. I would
Sinner
say.
gave it like 2 Eagles, so
He's not-
It's not
he
very
don't-
American.
Well, by his standards, maybe it's
It's not
American.
super-
Yeah.
It's not super
I mean,
American.
he's
I'm saying he
comparing
only-
Chipotle to
that's what I'm saying,
Krispy
he only
Kremes,
gave
to
it,
be
he
fair,
only
so.
gave it 2 Eagles.
It's not like a salad either, though. That's the thing. I'm just like, I probably should be eating a little bit more healthy considering the food I've had this entire like 3 weeks. So
Glad you went straight for the burrito. So,
Seriously, dude.
Mott, High Ground TV was here. You guys used my my bedroom as your HQ. How did the coverage go for you
HQ.
guys? Did you get all your VODs done? I know that was a big struggle internally for y'all.
I forced it on a Greg after me not being, feeling too well, and then obviously me just being a prick. But yeah, no, I mean, I did like 2 weeks of VODs, and then he did pretty much the rest of them.
Oh, good.
But your bedroom was a great base of operations. I gotta say, very nice, very.
You upset our neighbors, Travis, by
We
the way?
did. We
Yeah.
did multiple times. There was a neighbor who shouted through the window, telling myself and Kalika to be quiet in one of the casts. I'm pretty sure you can hear it audibly on the stream. So
You're breaking them in
would've
for the
been
summit,
amazing.
so it's fine. They'll be used to it. I hope.
By the end of the
Oh,
summit,
yeah.
she'll be a Dota fan. That's the goal. Where
Or
we're going to go
plan
over
B.
there, do the whole Jehovah's
Listen.
Witness thing, and be preaching the
Yeah.
the prowess of Dota.
I
Like,
always told Purge that I wanted to have the
Dota
Welcome to Dota You
pamphlet.
Suck like done as a pamphlet, so you could like go be a missionary.
well,
You
we're
all-
going to go
all you have
next
to
door
do-
with some cookies as well. Apologize for the noise and be like, here, would you like a pamphlet
Exactly.
of Dota?
Would you like
Exactly.
to learn about our Lord and Savior? Ice
just
Rock?
send somebody
And his
from
disciples
Fnatic over.
can
Those
be
guys are extremely good looking. I'm sure they're very, very, very sociable. Just send those guys over. Everything will be settled.
Our plan
So-
was to attack them with accents. Brian go Southern and go extra Aussie and just, try to
There-
woo them.
We have a to-do list for the summit, and one of them says, Brian, go talk to the neighbors and possibly bake them a pie.
Literally says that.
Possibly.
Possibly. I don't know if the timetable, maybe the pie won't
You
happen.
know what
but
we should do is we should get your loved one to do it. She's charming.
Yeah, my fiance. Annie, maybe.
Fiance. She's.
Me and Annie could go and be like, how y'all doing? Would you like some?
Southern
Then I'll be
charm.
like, you don't live there.
you got hired. This is like a Fiverr or something. You came over. cute Southern couple come over to
Pretend you live at the house.
assuage the issues with your neighbors.
Oh, my God.
Boom,
right,
solved.
all
Issue
right.
All right,
solved
Mott.
right there.
We've got to wrap it up pretty soon here, but I want to hear your highlight. Who was your favorite dark horse? Who did well across any of the qualifiers? Doesn't have to be North America. Who was the team that surprised you the most?
All right, hold on. Give me a second. There's 4 qualifiers here.
Yes.
I think
Thank you.
Phoenix
Thank
did
you,
pretty
Travis.
well, all things considered, and what they were going up against. Everyone's like a Korean team, not gonna make it. MVP Phoenix, they're probably worse than Zephyr. They did very, very well.
To be fair, I did not say that. I specifically said MVP will do much better than Zephyr.
I'm not calling
agree.
you out specifically.
Not that I was
I'm just
happy
saying.
about it, but I. Sorry, go on, Travis.
Sorry, Blitz.
Sorry, Travis. Sorry,
Damn.
Blitz. Sorry to everyone.
Yeah. And then after that, I don't know. I guess CIS. I mean, you have to say CIS because like everyone's like, yeah, no, they're dream time, easy second place right there. But then all of a sudden, everyone sees CIS come through and they get second place in the Chinese qualifier. So very impressive play from them. I mean, those 2 teams really, I think, stand out to me. Obviously NAR, but I guess everyone kind of knew, like, with the amount of talent that NAR had, they could easily take a series off of Liquid. So, I guess that's about it. I mean, I just want to leave with, saying that I appreciate you guys having me and specifically High Ground over. We had so much fun, and we would love to be a part of anything else you got going on in the future, and we'll see you at TI4, obviously. So,
Well, we're
Hell yeah,
having
Mott.
Jack in the Box tomorrow.
Yeah.
Travis,
Oh, God,
Yes,
no more Jack in
yes.
the Box.
you want
No.
to come by for some
No.
tasty fast
I quit.
food?
High Ground
Sounds
TV, brought to you
delicious.
by Jack in the Box. If it doesn't kill you, it just makes you stronger. Their new tagline.
There was like a week of just. Oh wait, it's 4 a.m. and nothing's open. Hey, you guys want to go to Jack in the Box? Oh.
we gotta eat something, guys. We better get that Jack in the Box in us.
We might have been better off not eating anything, honestly. But I apologize in advance to you for the increase in doctors' bills and medical expenses. Sure to come your way.
Well, I'm still alive, so that's it.
All right, guys. Make sure you give Mott some love on Twitter at MottDota2, and he'll be around the BTS stream and as well High Ground TV on Twitch. Mott, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
All right, take it easy, man. So that wraps up our part 1. We're going to swap out LD for the Commissioner coming up in part 2. Sorry, LDZ, but
Quit.
all right. Well,
Fuck this show.
so we'll have a break, guys, and coming up next will be part 2 of this segment, TI4 by region.